these other veterans.
It's time for Veterans Issues, the show that brings you information about veterans, military, and their family. Now here's your host, Ken Rollins.
Welcome to Veterans Issues. Ken Rollins, today's guest, and we are brought to you by the Red, White, and Blue, by the way. And today's guest is Dr. Wayne Reynolds. He's so many titles. We're going to wait till we come back, and we'll tell you all about him. Get you a pen. Welcome to Veterans Issues, Ken Rollins, and today's guest is Dr. Wayne Reynolds. And Wayne is the National Treasurer for the Vietnam Veterans of America. He's the president of the Alabama Vietnam Veterans of America, the Alabama State Council for 19 years. He's serves on the Alabama Republican State Executive Committee, and he's in his fourth term with Limestone Republican Committee. And other than that, he don't do anything. Welcome to the show, Wayne.
Welcome.
Back. Welcome back.
Good to see you.
Good to see you, brother. Wayne and I have been knowing each other at least a couple of years.
More years than we want to admit.
Yeah, about 25, I guess it is, something like that. But would you come on the show today? First of all, let's have a little background. You was in Vietnam, and I think you're the medic, right?
50 years ago.
50 years
right
ago.
now.
Oh, darn.
I was deployed March 6th, 1968.
Wow.
So I'm just starting my 50th year anniversary.
A lot of people don't. I was sitting with a nurse that was, I think, 98th evacuation unit. She was, she's 84 years old right now, but a lot of things she can't remember, but she remembers her service as a nurse. Isn't that something? She's, the people that work with the wounded in Vietnam have a certain feeling about them. We know some folks that it really got to them. Sharon Boyer, for one, it really,
Yes.
it takes its toll on you, doesn't it?
It does, and I went to Vietnam with the 95th Evac in Da Nang, and then served with the 22nd Surgical Hospital in Phu Bai after that. And I still have some residual problems from that deployment.
But you defy all the things that are supposed to happen. When you went through what you went through in Vietnam, you're supposed to fall apart and live on the side of a railroad track. Instead, you went on. You've been over the Limestone education.
I was actually superintendent for a total of 10 years. First in Tarrant City and then in Athens City. Mm-hmm. I came back and met a beautiful woman, and she married me 48 years ago, and I went to the University of Georgia and got my bachelor's and master's degree, and went back in teaching. And I guess my escape was working hard. You know,
Yeah.
I grew up I'm the oldest of 12 children, so having excuses was not permitted in my family. Not working was not permitted in my family.
I remember some years ago, you decided that you needed something else to do, so you took on a nursing job at emergency room or something like that?
Yes, and I was actually working some at UAH, and went and I got a nursing degree and worked until I guess 2014 and I just decided I didn't want to work 12-hour nursing shifts, but I went back to become a nurse.
But your thing is, all the time I've known you, that the thing that you was in school was, when we've talked in the past, is being able to mold and see some of these young kids that go off and to do, you see them down the road, you walk into the business and there's a person owning a business that you were instrumental in their education and things like that.
Education has been my whole life. My wife and I are both career educators, and even my involvement in Vietnam Veterans of America is part of my role of educating people and working with people, working at the national level with the veterans, and as well as the state level. So it's part of our commitment to serve others.
Things open doors, you know, as the president of the Vietnam Veterans, you get to walk into doors that otherwise you wouldn't, and that way you can address people and give them some of your expertise from your
Many
background.
governors, I work with many governors.
Mm-hmm.
Whoever's in office
Yeah.
is my best friend, because they're the key to serving veterans.
Yeah, if you was given the school, I'm gonna put you on the spot. If you're giving our schools in Alabama a report card, what grade would you give them today?
Overall, probably a B-, and
Oh.
given some of the population that we have, some of the difficulties we have. We're not one of the richest states by far.
Absolutely.
And we're not just ahead of Mississippi. We're far better than that. And I can just tell you, my children did superbly well in public schools, and I've had my grandchildren do, my whole family. If it weren't for public education, I would be nowhere, because I grew up very poor. So I value public education, and Alabama teachers, Alabama principals, they do a great job.
You're talking about the regular schools. You're not talking about private schools and that kind of thing. You're talking about
No, I'm talking about public
edu-
schools. I'm not saying we don't make mistakes. I don't say we don't have adversity. I don't say that we don't have failures that we could achieve, but we get everyone. We get the children who are disabled. We get the children who have single parents or no parents. Those are the ones that come to us in public education.
Yeah.
And overall, as a population, Alabama is prospering. You know, we're growing rapidly. We're able to recruit industry. And
Yeah.
that's the best measure you have of Alabama schools.
Well, you live in North Alabama, and they just
Yes.
recruited one of the best.
Yeah,
what is
I
that?
live, Limestone County just got a major automobile plant.
Let me add on something like that. Oxford Schools is an exception to some of them that we're better than most. But do you believe in kids that's going to school learning a trade of some sort?
Absolutely. My undergraduate degree is in vocational and technical education, and everybody's not intended to get a degree. And as a matter of fact, there are a lot of people who have advanced degrees in some subject that you can't get a job in.
There you go. That's what I
And
was gonna say.
they're working next to a high school dropout or something at Burger King.
Yeah.
But if you have vocational technical education, which is based on an available job. You know, Charles Barkley recently announced that he was going to fund some schools for vocational technical education in Alabama for minorities. And I think that if Charles Barkley feels it's important, I can too.
Well, you know, anybody that would deny what you just said hasn't called a plumber or electrician or something. To
If
their
you can
house.
find one,
But
if you can
find
find
it,
one,
then you get a mortgage on you have to pay for him.
exactly.
I mean, they don't come in for free. The old story about the plumber that gave the doctor went over to the doctor's house and did some plumbing and handed him a bill for $125, and the doctor says, "Man, said I'm a doctor and I don't make that kind of money." And the guy said, "When I was a doctor, I didn't make that kind of money either." So
That's
now he's a
right.
plumber.
And you know, as a matter of fact, my son is a physician. If he'd had all the years, the 12 years that it took him for college and medical school and residency, if he'd been earning a moderate salary at that range, he would have been far ahead. So even in that case, vocational technical education, electronics, plumbing, those things that people can do add value to their life. And working adds self-respect to
You
everyone's
imagine
life.
young couples getting married and they got a light fixture that just needs to be 2 screws taken out. You know, cut the breaker off, take your wires off, take it down to Lowe's, get them another switch put in there. They're going to pay $150 to get that done because they don't know how to do it. But a lot
Exactly.
of schools are teaching that, and Oxford's one of them that's doing some of that. It's teaching them how to. Not only does it give them something they can make money in, but they can save money by having to pay someone to do what they can do. We're running out of time here. I just want to make sure we get down there. But so you support vocational schools,
Of course,
vocational training in all schools, whether it's a vocational school or not.
absolutely.
All right, that's great. We're going to go to a break and come back, and we're going to talk more with Dr. Reynolds about a lot of subjects. I made myself some notes. I'm going to use them when we come back. Stay where you are. I'll be right back. Welcome back to Veterans Issues. We're talking to Dr. Wayne Reynolds, and we're talking about a lot of education stuff. Ended on the vocational thing, so I got that out there that's just common sense. But I don't see a lot of schools leaning that way. You said it. When you get a degree, that don't mean that everybody's out there saying, "Hey, come over here, bring your," you know, because I worked at the depot where chemical engineers with degrees could not find jobs, you know, and they wasn't available.
That's where statewide guidance, the state Department of Education, the governor, the influence of the legislature, passing laws that fund things like that or hold money out for those things can make a difference. And you know, we've talked about your legislators in here, and this is a big legislative year, but part of that is up to local school boards. I believe that local school boards should control their curriculum and local superintendents, but there has to be that carrot will entice people to do things that they need to do, because so many educators don't know those things. Like you talk about the light switch, they're the ones that have to call the $150 plumber. Doesn't mean that they're not capable, but that's not the track that they're funded. And I'll just tell you, I think it's essential in Alabama.
Absolutely, I agree. I'm glad you said that, because, and I'm talking a lot of education, and one of the reasons I talked about your background, where you went back to nursing and everything, where you was in education before as a superintendent, you now decided you want to serve on the state board of education.
Yes, I have.
You ain't got anything else to do?
No, that's the situation with me. I think that work and being involved is rewarding, and I declared for District 8, the Alabama School Board. Mary Scott Hunter, I think her father played at some school in Tuscaloosa. She decided not to run for re-election, and so that position is open. Nobody's in the role, and I just felt that with my years of experience that would be something I really wanted to do.
What county does that cover?
That covers Limestone, Morgan, Jackson, DeKalb, and Etowah counties.
And Etowah is watching us out here right now. And
I've been to see every school superintendent in all of those districts, and I'll be going to the school board meeting tonight in in Madison County.
This might be a sore subject I might want to tell you. Earmarking, the teachers' funds is an earmark, just like our veterans thing is. And we get hit every year by the legislature wanting to go after earmark money. And sometimes earmarking is necessary in order to make sure that.
I don't see the people the county commissioners that get money to put down the roads don't want the gas tax unearmarked.
Thank you.
I mean, if you unearmark everything.
Yeah.
And even within the school budget, the educational trust fund budget, there are whirls of monies that are diverted by saying this is educational. It may be it's some strange things if you really read the budget.
Yeah, our GI Bill is funded through some of that. The Alabama GI Bill.
Well, that's an educational issue.
Thank you. But when we every session that I remember for the last few years, we've been worrying about. They look at it and they say, okay, the veterans has got some money over here. They don't know that we're putting that over there because we're going to have to put a roof on a building. It might cost $2 million. But they've got some money over there, so we're going to go after that. And they do it in every department, not just us. But I know that Education Trust Fund has been in the crosshairs for years.
Well, it's a growth fund.
Yeah.
I mean, the legislature years ago decided that this was the way to preserve Alabama education. It wasn't teachers that are here in 2017. It was the wisdom of the legislators that valued education. And I assure you, we would not have Remington, we wouldn't have Mercedes, we wouldn't have a Hyundai, we wouldn't have the Toyota plants, we wouldn't have the industry that's all over the state, including around here, if it weren't for an educated populace.
You just stole one of my big lines, and that is these people out here were talking about recruiting businesses. We got Honda down the road, and we got Hyundai down here, and we got the ones that's just coming in. Nobody is going to bring a company in where they have a low intelligent population.
And part of what gets funded out of the Educational Trust Fund is training people to work in these businesses, and that's where our tax money comes in, because it's an investment.
Thank you. And the more people working, the less the food costs. It benefits all of us in Alabama. The more people we got out there earning income, not living off of the system, so to speak.
That's why part of the reason I want to be on the Alabama State School Board is my history of 30 years in public education, my children's history, and understanding the priorities. Persons that have not been involved to the level of education. And Dr. Ed Richardson, who is the interim superintendent, and I have had conversations since I declared about the fact that the State Department has gotten bloated and the role of the State Department has gotten misunderstood. The role of the State Board of Education is to give the new superintendent guidance, and it's to give the State Department guidance in what their efforts should be, and that should be helping local school systems and being concerned about the children. Because when we quit being concerned about the individual child and say, well, that's your child, or that's Piedmont's child, or Oxford's child, then they're going to fail.
When the schools, and they haven't changed much since I was a kid or you was a kid, teachers have to bring in supplies for their school. I'm basically talking about grammar school.
Right.
They have to bring in supplies, not stuff that they want for the kid, but what the kids need in that classroom. They bring in paper towels and bring in things for their classroom out of their own pocket. And I never met a real rich teacher.
No, and you're not meeting one now. But part of the reason, you talk about funding of the Educational Trust Fund, years ago, the actual money that teachers get at those level for supplies has decreased over time, even though the cost of all those supplies has gone up. And it's a priority. I mean, you've got to have a sense that what those children need. And you realize that in DeKalb County, there are different economics than in Madison City, both in my district. Very different kind of problems. The Scottsboro has very different kind of problems than Oxford does. But there has to be a mix of opportunity from the State Department to allow all of these school systems to achieve, even though they're different. Because it shouldn't matter where you're born of what your opportunities are. There should be a baseline of opportunity.
A couple of questions that's on my brain. Common Core, how you feel about that?
Common Core was an outreach by a previous president to try to control education across the way. And at one time, Dr. Bice was our state superintendent. He sent out an edict that he signed a covenant to follow all of Common Core. Well, that's gone. That covenant is gone. Common Core, I've served on two committees, a textbook committee and a curriculum committee, where the people who are from all the congressional districts helped develop the curriculum. That's an Alabama curriculum. That looks at the needs of all the children of Alabama. I do not believe in Common Core at all. I believe in some standards, some minimum standards that you should have some achievement, just like my children have standards that I set as a family. But I don't believe in Common Core at all.
Way down to 40 seconds. You don't want some kid going to apply for a job and they say, oh, you went to so-and-so school. Oh, so you went to so-and-so school, because they don't put that value on them if they went to a certain school. We don't want that. We've run out of time. We have run completely out of time.
Thank you.
Now they say we got to pay some bills, so we got to go. We'd appreciate you coming out and doing the show. And good luck with your run for you folks out there. I'm going to tell you something real quick before we leave. If he's running for dog catcher, he's got my support, because I know he's going to give it 150%. He always gives everything that way. So we're going to go to a break, come back. I got news that you can use. Be right back.
I'm done.
Welcome back to Veterans Issues. Ken Rollins, still Ken Rollins, and we're still doing Veterans Issue. I want to bring up the flyer I forgot to do during Dr. Reynolds' visit there. If you look on the bottom of it, it's www.wayneforalabama.com, www.wayneforalabama.com. That's his address, so I'm not going to put a phone number on there, but that's a way you can get in touch with him if you got any questions I didn't get to ask. He's a good man. Think about it. Okay, I want to remind you about some things. For you veterans out there that's trying to get by, you need somebody to cut your grass, do your lawn work. This guy right here, and I don't get anything for this, I tell you that every week, but Hayden Crow has got a New Leaf Lawn Landscape. Here's the phone number I want you to write down, 256-201-7757. Now, the reason I give you that is it can save you some money. He's doing my lawn for about half of what I was paying for about 15 years, but he does a heck of a lot better job. Got a lot of workers, a lot of weed eaters, a lot of things going around trimming and stuff that others don't do. And so and you can thank me for it later. I want to remind you that Superior Hyundai, they sponsored the show. Mike Huckabee and all the folks up there, they were down at Martin's in the parking lot. I guess they still are, but they have some great deals up there. Here's the main thing for you. $500 off if you bring your DD214 in. Everybody that's a veteran's got a DD214, bring that in, get you $500. Now, if you tell them you saw it on this show, if you say I saw it on Veterans Issues, they give you another $500. You can pay me later or shake my hand, whatever. I just showed you how to save $1,000 on a Hyundai. So remember them guys up there at Superior. The VA hotline, the one's in the White House, is 855-948-2311, 855-948-2311. Now, if there's a crisis line, it's for those that are in stress, want to harm themselves or others. At 1-800-273-8255. When the voice comes on, press 1. 800-273-8255. If you know a veteran in distress, that's the number to call. Here's a website I want you to remember. I tell you about it every week. At Wounded Warrior Alabama. All one word, Wounded Warrior Alabama @gmail.com. That's Ross Winter, and his phone number is 256-458-2715. It has nothing to do with Wounded Warrior. What it has to do with is veterans in need. You need a ramp built. They've been power bills needed to be paid, things like that. That's the number to call. He's a great man. He's using his own funds. And the folks that go to Lowe's to get a discount, military discount, no more with your card, no ID or nothing. You've got to go on, this is a website. Go to lowes.com/military and then register there. And then the next time you go in to buy something and you're a veteran, it'll be there. Just give them your phone number and you'll go right out the door with your discount. They want me to tell you about that. The Firefighters Memorial is almost through, be through by the end of this month, March, and we'll have that up there. We are on the 15th of May. We're adding Officer Billa's name to the Law Enforcement Memorial, the guy that was killed in Mobile a week or so ago. We'll be doing it on May the 15th. I want to remind you about the law enforcement tag. That's the way we build all these memorials, is off of the back of that, the money from that tag. So if you start to buy a tag and you don't, you're not in law enforcement, you don't have to be. It just that law enforcement tag says, I support those that died in the line of duty, and it looks good on every car, and it helps us do the things that we have to do, that we don't like to do. The choice card is still available. I want to encourage you to get you one. I've used it. It does work. Go down to the VA clinic if you need a choice card. And this salute, this week, very few people get a salute from me, but when you get a salute, it's a big one. But so this salute is going to go out to the fellow that's sitting over here by me right now. His name is Dr. Wayne Reynolds, a great American, got a great guy, and he'll make you a good one out there. So we'll see you next week. Veterans Issues, salute, out of here.